Hi, I'm Mark Gaylor, Sony Digital Imaging Ambassador, and welcome to my slow shutter speed panning seminar. I've recently returned from the Australian MotoGP, and I thought this would be a good time to talk about the slow shutter speed panning. This is where we aim to get some movement blur behind a subject that's in sharp focus. You're probably familiar with my PAL workflow, my portrait, action, landscape, and my action memory recall has a default shutter speed setting of 1/2000th of a second, which is ideal for freezing a host of rapidly moving subjects, whether it be birds in flight or other sports. But when it comes to motorsports, that 1/2000th of a second can lead to some frozen vehicles which don't look like they're moving as quickly as they actually are. So in order to create some movement blur or a sense of movement, we really need to start slowing that shutter speed down so we get some streaking movement behind our subject rendered in sharp focus. Now this particular image was captured at 1/4000th of a second, so it's ideal for freezing everything in sharp focus, but we don't get that sense of movement. Now this was captured at the maximum aperture of f2.8, and as you can see, the depth of field with this 300mm lens at close range is sufficient for most of the bike to be rendered in sharp focus. So this subject about depth of field is important to address now, because in the following slides you're going to see some movement blur not only behind the subject but also on the subject itself. We're going to recommend a default starting point of 1/320th of a second for motorsports. So if you're using my PAL workflow and you're using that memory recall number 2, you would go into the ISO auto minimum shutter speed and take that down from 1/2000th to 1/320th of a second. Alternatively, you could use the manual or shutter priority exposure modes and just dial in that 1/320th of a second. This 1/320th of a second is going to be a variable shutter speed. You're going to be looking at different shutter speeds depending on how rapidly your subject is moving. It's also how close you are to the subject itself. If you're a lot further away from the subject, then you're going to be panning the camera a lot more slowly than I'm panning the camera now. So if you're from a stand rather than alongside the track, you can expect to possibly halve the shutter speeds that I'm currently using. Just to reinforce, it is not to do with the speed of the subject, it's to do with the speed of the camera panning in your hands that dictates which shutter speeds is the optimum shutter speed to be shooting this slow shutter speed panning technique. So for instance, if my subject is moving only a quarter of the speed of that MotoGP bike, then I'm going to use a shutter speed that is a quarter of that shutter speed that I'm shooting MotoGP. So here's my snooze speed setting of 1/30th of a second. The camera that I would prefer to do this panning bursts at slow shutter speeds is going to be one of the cameras that features a stack sensor or a global shutter sensor. And this is either an Alpha 1 camera or one of the Alpha 9 cameras. So this is my preferred camera for shooting this technique, and this is because we don't get blackout in between the individual frames, and this leads to an easier panning technique where we're trying to keep the moving subject in the same part of the frame as we pan the camera. Now I've started shooting MotoGP with the first cameras that use these stack sensors, which is the original Alpha 9, and this is still a great camera to shoot MotoGP. The only downside compared to using an Alpha 1 camera is its low megapixel count, which means that we can't shoot in APS-C mode unless we're panning exceptionally accurately. With the higher resolution sensors now, I can shoot a little bit wider, crop in post, or even use the APS-C crop in camera mode if I don't want to put on a 600mm prime instead of a 400mm prime lens. I've also shot the MotoGP with just Alpha 7 cameras, and you are going to get sharp images. Yes, the panning is a little bit more tricky because of the blackout between frames, but it is possible. And you'll find that you can cherry pick, you can lose the slightly soft images and then look for the pin sharp image, and often there will be a pin sharp image in a sequence burst here. Now this is 1/500th of a second, and if you are new to motorsports, this is possibly where I would start, and then slow down as your number of sharp images increases with practice. Now this one was actually captured with the APS-C Alpha 6700 camera and with a lens that's not often considered to be a pro sports lens. This is the FE 70-200 f4G Mark II. Now this has a 300mm full frame equivalent angle of view when used in APS-C mode or on an APS-C camera, and here I'm shooting at 1/250th of a second. Now I also mention this particular setup because a lot of circuits will often prevent you going in with professional gear. And how do they decide what is professional gear? Different circuits have different regulations about what is considered to be pro sports gear. The Alpha 6700 and 7200 is often not considered to be pro sports photography equipment. This has a length of 6 inches and you can see this is quite a short lens to be taking into a circuit. The other lenses that also have a short length are lenses such as the 100-400 GM and also the 70-200 GM and GM2. Now the FE300 f2.8 GM that I favour for using this in this motorsports is a little bit longer than 10 inches, and that 10 inches is a measurement that a lot of circuits measure. If a large lens is trying to get into a circuit as a spectator, they'll often deny entry. I would take a look at the lens restrictions or camera restrictions at the different circuits because it's not the same from country to country. So some lenses will be restricted if they are longer than 200mm focal length. Some look at the physical size of the lens, so longer than 10 inches. The security personnel looking inside the bags as you enter the circuits may also interpret professional equipment a little differently. So it is best to be prepared and check the specific rules before you go to the circuit. Okay, so that is my top recommendation before you even go and start shooting this automotive sports. Now that Alpha 6700 with the 7200, as I said, it's got a 300mm full frame equivalent reach at the 200mm. But if you combine that with a 1.4 times teleconverter, you're going to get the 420mm full frame equivalent reach, and that is enough for a lot of circuits out there. There are individual corners which might require a slightly longer focal length, but for many instances where the stand or the pro photographers are allowed to stand, 420mm is more than enough in many instances. Let's take a look at my panning technique before we go much further. If I'm using one of the much heavier, longer lenses, I don't hold or support the lens with my left hand underneath the focus ring of the lens. I'll just reach right out and grab the front of the lens hood. Now when I'm panning the camera, I aim to be square on to the passing subject, which is where I'm going to get most of my sharp images as the bike passes in front of me. As the bike is approaching me or leaving, getting further away, I'm going to get less sharp images with the very slow shutter speeds. And we'll go into this in a little bit more detail. Now, if you're looking at the inset image of me holding this, the only reason the camera strap is dangling there is I've recently got up from the ground where the camera strap around my neck is a little bit problematic when working for those low angle shots. Another recommendation is if you're using a lens with steady shot settings on the actual lens, then switch it from mode 1 to mode 2 before you even pack your bag. I do recommend this because that mode 2 is going to release the gyros that make sure that you're steady when the camera is not moving. But of course we're physically panning the camera from left to right or right to left, so that releases that gyro that is trying to fight with you from actually panning the camera side to side. So that is a top recommendation. Now if your lens doesn't have any steady shot settings on the physical lens, then you might just want to disable the steady shot because your camera is not steady. The only reason to have that steady shot on perhaps is when you're shooting with the camera steady at the hairpin bend. Now another thing that I do with these long prime lenses that have these drop-in filter drawers, and obviously they have these drop-in filter drawers because the cost of an ND or circular polarizing filter in front of the lens is prohibitively expensive, is I will put a circular polarizing filter in that drop-in drawer for this type of photography. Now yes, I'm using that circular polarizing in some instances, but I'm also using it for the ND effect of that circular polarizing filter. This means that I can shoot in full sun at very slow shutter speeds, and I don't have to use f16 in order to get an appropriate exposure. This circular polarizing has an ND effect of perhaps 1.5 stops. So rather than shooting close to f16, I'm shooting closer to f8 in many instances when working with these very slow shutter speeds. I am working side on to get the best shots at these very slow shutter speeds. These are often more challenging when the subject is 3/4 on. Now in this hazy sunshine, I'm actually using an aperture now of f6.3 and still using those shutter speeds, courtesy of that circular polarizing filter that I've inserted in that drop-in drawer there. Let's slow the shutter speed down even more. Now this is a 1/60 of a second, and I rarely go slower than this, and in this instance this slow shutter speed is actually too slow. Yes, we're getting a lot of streaking behind the subject, but not all of the subject is in sharp focus. You can probably see before I even zoom in that bike is not sharp. But as I zoom in, you can see the helmet of this guy is pretty much acceptably sharp and would sharpen up even more with improved sharpening in post-production editing. But the bike is not sharp at all, and that is not because of depth of field, that is because of this exceptionally slow shutter speed with the bike that's not yet square on to me standing on the side of the circuit. In another image in that same sequence, you can see part of the bike is sharp, near the handlebars there, but neither the helmet or the rider's glove now, or leathers, is in sharp focus. This is a problem with these very slow shutter speeds at close range when the bike is not yet square on to your position. Another example, just to show you this is not a one-off, this helmet is now very sharp. I've got my recognition target set to human because it will recognize the human sitting on the bikes in many instances. But you can see the front of the fairing on this bike is not sharp. And in another one in the same sequence, the front of the fairing is now sharp and the helmet is not sharp. Now ideally I would like a lot of the bike to be sharp and also the rider, especially the helmet, to be in sharp focus. And so this 1/6 of a second is not really an appropriate shutter speed to get a high hit rate of overall sharpness. Even at 1/125 of a second, I'm still seeing the problem with slightly blurry bike, sharp rider. 1/250 of a second, things start improving dramatically, and a lot of the bike is now in sharp focus as well as the helmet of the rider. And as we speed up even more, now nearly the entire bike and also the rider are in sharp focus. And again, this is not a depth of field issue. This is really mostly to do with the shutter speed that I've chosen. And as I said, this is a sort of a 3/4 angle as the bikes are still approaching me. I'll continue shooting as the bikes pass me, and this is where I could get by with a 1/125 of a second or 1/250th of a second. I might even be able to pull some off at 1/60 of a second, but mostly not at this 3/4 angle. Here's one at 1/125th of a second. Now the bike is almost square on, not quite, it's still approaching me a little bit, but that moving towards me is exaggerated because of the twist in that crop. I will actually choose a lens that's slightly wider than I need. And this is because I can crop in post and change the framing. So here I've shot it at pretty much square on, but now I'm twisting the frame so I get that dramatic 45-degree angle. And that can be quite challenging if I had used a 400mm focal length. 1/125th of a second, square on, I'm going to get quite a good hit rate. Now you might be able to go slower if you're further away, but this is the slowest that I usually go when I'm shooting at very close distance to the subjects. Here's 1/500th of a second. You can see there's still sufficient movement blur behind the subject because I'm still panning quite rapidly at this close range. Again, if you're in the stands rather than beside the circuit, you might be using 1/250th or 1/125. But here, when I'm very close, I'm still doing a fast pan at this close proximity. So if you're having too many missed shots, you're going through a sequence and you can't find any sharp shots, then move faster from 1/125 or 1/250th to 1/500th. Just because somebody else can handhold 1/125th with their panning skills doesn't mean that you're going to have great success if you're new to slow shutter speed panning. Now, one of the things that I do recommend if you're wanting to practice panning is work with some slower moving subjects to begin with, maybe bicycles or people running or scooters. And if you're in an Asian city, you're going to have plenty of opportunity to do some slow shutter speed panning. You might want to start at 1/60th, see if you get any sharp shots. If you're getting quite a lot of sharp images and your panning skills are quite good already, then you can start slowing down to 1/25th or 1/15th even. But I would start maybe at 1/250th and see how you go. If you're struggling with the skill and you're getting very few, but you still want to shoot some motorsports, then you can shoot at very fast shutter speeds. In this instance, I don't need a streaking track behind the rider because this uncropped image of Alex Marquez is shot with 1/4000th of a second, and there's very little evidence of the track behind Alex Marquez in this instance. So again, if you're working at a hairpin bend and the camera is not panning side to side, you're basically capturing the mid-corner, then try using the faster shutter speeds so you can get some pin sharp images. Hopefully you've enjoyed this short seminar and you've got something to get into with this slow shutter speed panning to improve those skills. And as I said, if you're struggling with this, just let the camera do all of the work and have the subject moving towards you, and really you're not using any panning skills, then the camera and lens are pretty much doing all of the work for you. I'm Mark Ayler, Sony Digital Imaging Ambassador.